for. What happens next? Only one way to know.
Breaking news as Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul has just been postponed. Netflix has recently put out a statement saying, unfortunately, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson will not face off on July 20th as planned. Tyson's recent ulcer flare-up has limited his ability to train fully for the next few weeks. The fight will be rescheduled for a date later this year after Mike's able to resume training with no limitations and both fighters can have equal time to prepare for this once-in-a-lifetime matchup.
Netflix pulls the plug. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Fight canceled in stunning twist. You heard it right. Netflix just dropped a bombshell that's rocking the boxing world. The highly anticipated clash between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, it's officially off. The fight fans were counting down to, the one that was supposed to redefine both men's legacies, has been scrapped. And now, Netflix is revealing what really happened behind the scenes. This wasn't just a big fight, it was the fight. Jake Paul's moment to shut down the critics, earn respect from the boxing elite, and prove once and for all that he belongs in the ring. But now, the event is dead. His accompanying Netflix documentary has been shelved, and his future in boxing suddenly looks more uncertain than ever. What went wrong? According to Netflix, this wasn't just a broadcast, it was a full-on promotional partnership. The streaming giant wasn't just showing the fight, it was producing it. This was Netflix's first major push into live sports, a historic step for the platform and a massive opportunity for Jake. But the entire deal has collapsed. Behind-the-scenes issues, health concerns, and shifting priorities have led to a total unraveling of what was once hailed as a game-changing event. Now Jake Paul is left without the fight, without the documentary, and without the Netflix partnership that was supposed to propel his career to the next level. The pressure was already intense. Now it's suffocating. With his biggest shot at legitimacy gone, the question is simple but brutal. Is this the end of Jake Paul's boxing journey? Or can he regroup and fight his way back into the spotlight? One thing's for sure, this isn't just a setback. It's a seismic shakeup that could redefine the next chapter of Jake Paul's career. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, the fight that vanished overnight. The hype was unreal. The Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson bout wasn't just a fight, it was the event. Tickets vanished in minutes. Social media was on fire. Influencers, celebrities, and die-hard fans had it marked on their calendars. This wasn't shaping up to be just another boxing match. It was poised to be a cultural moment. Then, out of nowhere, the unthinkable happened. Netflix pulled the plug. No warning. No build-up. Just a sudden announcement that the most anticipated fight of the year was officially canceled. Fans were left stunned, confused, scrambling for answers. So what happened? How did we go from viral buzz to total blackout? 1. Safety concerns. Took center stage. Mike Tyson might still be a beast in the gym, but he's nearly 60. Pitting him against Jake Paul, over 30 years his junior, raised serious red flags. Behind the scenes, insiders say Netflix got cold feet about the potential for serious injury. The optics of something going wrong in the ring, a PR disaster waiting to happen, and Netflix wasn't about to take that risk. 2. Doubts over the bottom. Line yes, tickets were flying. But Netflix reportedly wasn't convinced the global viewership would meet their sky-high expectations. The platform's first step into live sports had to be flawless. Anything less than a blockbuster would be labeled a failure. For a company known for calculated, data-driven decisions, the gamble may have just felt too big. 3. The Jake Paul problem. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul thrives on chaos. But that volatility doesn't sit well with a brand like Netflix. Rumors swirled internally. What if Jake backed out? What if controversy derailed the event? For Netflix, tying their first live sporting event to someone as unpredictable as Jake might have been too risky. 4. Steroid whispers stirred the pot. Then there were the steroid rumors. No confirmations, just whispers, but even the suggestion of performance-enhancing drug use raised eyebrows. The last thing Netflix wanted was to be seen as backing a tainted Fight. Whether real or not, the association was enough to cast a shadow. Netflix's official word? A vague statement citing unforeseen circumstances that could not be resolved. But actions speak louder. Not only was the fight canceled, but Netflix also confirmed its backing out of all Jake Paul projects, including his high-profile documentary tracking his journey from YouTube to the ring. What now? In one swift move, Jake lost the fight. The documentary and the Netflix partnership, the momentum he spent years building, slipping away. But if there's one thing Jake Paul doesn't do, it's disappear. Love him or hate him, he's a master of reinvention, and he's likely already plotting his next headline. Still, the Tyson fight was supposed to be his moment. Now fans are left wondering, can Jake recover from this massive setback? Or was this his one shot at legitimacy, gone for good?
Who's doing more than me? I'm the face of this sport.
The disruptor.
Jake Paul breaks silence after Netflix fallout and sets his sights on Conor McGregor. Jake Paul's latest move has fans buzzing and speculating. After Netflix abruptly pulled the plug on both his fight with Mike Tyson and his highly anticipated documentary, questions are swirling. Did something go down behind the scenes? What caused such a dramatic shift? The documentary was meant to be a defining chapter in Jake's transformation from viral YouTuber to serious boxer. It promised an inside look at the grind, the discipline, and the evolution of a fighter who's never done things the traditional way. But now, it feels like Netflix slammed the door on that narrative entirely. In a curt and surprisingly formal statement, Netflix confirmed, "We will not be including Jake Paul in any upcoming projects, and we wish him well." Polite on the surface. But between the lines, the message couldn't be clearer. The relationship is over. And Jake's standing with the platform has taken a major hit. Even more damaging, insiders say Netflix expressed concerns over Jake's credibility within the boxing world. With the Tyson fight scrapped, his shot at true legitimacy may have vanished with it. And without Netflix's backing, the question now is, who's still willing to step in the ring with Jake Paul? This wasn't just any matchup. This was Mike Tyson, a legend, a global icon. Tyson reportedly agreed to fight only because of Netflix's involvement. Now that the deal's dead, it's hard to imagine another name with that level of clout signing on. Jake might draw attention, but respect? That's a tougher sell. His brand has always relied on spectacle, but now the stakes are different. With no clear path forward, some fans are asking, is this a temporary setback, or the beginning of the end for Jake's boxing chapter? But if there's one thing Jake Paul doesn't do, it's retreat. Instead of sulking, he pivoted. Fast. Just hours after the Netflix news broke, Jake came out swinging, calling out none other than Conor McGregor. Under his own promotional banner, Most Valuable Promotions, Jake issued a challenge that instantly reignited headlines and fan debates. No Netflix, no Tyson, no problem. Jake's message is clear. He's not done, not even close. Whether the McGregor fight materializes or not, Jake's determined to control the narrative, on his terms, on his turf, and without relying on legacy media to validate him. The next chapter of Jake Paul's boxing story might not look the way he or his fans imagined. But if there's anything we've learned by now, it's this. Jake Paul always finds a way to stay in the spotlight.
My team sent you a $50 million offer this morning. $50 million cash, proof of funds, the biggest fight offer.
Jake Paul dangles $50 million at Conor McGregor, genius move or another distraction. Hear me out. Jake Paul knows Conor McGregor isn't stepping into the ring just for the thrill of it. If you want the Irishman's attention, you have to make it worth his time. And let's be honest. If there's one thing McGregor loves more than a good scrap, it's a fat payday. So what does Jake do? He throws down a monster offer, $50 million. Yeah, you read that right. $50 million just to get Conor. To lace up and throw hands. Even in the money-soaked world of combat sports, that's a headline-grabbing figure. Sure, Conor's already cashed out big before, but a 50mm purse is hard to ignore, even for him. But here's where the story starts to split. Some of Jake's most loyal fans are beginning to ask, is he chasing legacy or just chasing names? To them, it's starting to look like Jake is flipping through opponents like songs on shuffle. Find the biggest star. Throw cash at them. Promote the chaos. Rinse, repeat. And we've seen this play out before. Remember the Mike Tyson fight? July 20th was circled on every fan's calendar. Jake's moment to prove he could hang with a true boxing icon. Then, boom, fight canceled after Jake suffered a flare-up from an ulcer. Fans were crushed. But in typical Jake Paul fashion, he didn't wait around. He pivoted quickly and lined up Mike Perry as a replacement. And sure, Jake walked away with a 6-round KO win. But let's be real. Perry isn't Tyson. Not even close. The fight felt like a warm-up, not a war. A placeholder to keep Jake in the spotlight. And everyone, fans included, knew it. So, now enter McGregor. Another A-list opponent. Another jaw-dropping offer. Another potential detour from what was supposed to be Jake's defining test. Let's break this down. Conor McGregor is a certified UFC legend, a knockout artist, charismatic, ruthless, explosive. But he's not a boxer. His one time in the boxing ring, against Floyd Mayweather. And we all remember how that went. Floyd carried him for 10 rounds before finishing it with ease. The skill set just didn't translate. Now compare that to Mike Tyson, a generational talent, a true heavyweight beast, fast, powerful, and unforgiving. Fighting Tyson wouldn't have been just another big-name bout. It would have been the ultimate challenge of Jake's boxing legitimacy. So where does that leave Jake? He's chasing another massive fight, this time with Conor McGregor. But fans are still asking the same question. Is Jake Paul avoiding a real boxing test, or just playing the business game better than anyone else? One thing's certain. Jake Paul isn't slowing down. He's still making noise, calling shots, and putting himself in the conversation. But whether he's building a real legacy or just stacking paydays, that's a debate that's far from over.
The baddest man on the planet.
Jake Paul dodges Tyson, targets McGregor. But is the hype wearing thin? Let's be honest. Mike Tyson, even at his age, is still a terrifying presence in the ring. The power, the speed, the raw intensity, it's all still there. Add in his legendary boxing IQ, and you've got a fighter most wouldn't dare stand across from. Compare that to Conor McGregor, a talented, dangerous competitor, no doubt. But at the end of the day, Conor's a mixed martial artist, not a boxer. Tyson? He's a boxing icon, and no matter how you frame it, a bout with Tyson would have meant so much more for Jake Paul's credibility than a fight with McGregor ever could. But here we are. Tyson's out, McGregor's the new target, and Jake Paul is once again doing what he does best. Shifting gears, staying in the headlines, and keeping the hype machine running. Only this time, fans are starting to catch on. There's a pattern forming, and it's getting harder to ignore. When the stakes get serious, Jake seems to pivot. He trades legacy-defining fights for safer bets. Guys with name recognition, sure, but not the same respect inside the ring. And that's the issue. If Jake truly wants respect in the sport, not just fame, not just paychecks, he's going to have to step up. No more influencers, no more tune-up fights, no more dodging the real smoke. The bar has been set, and fans aren't letting him coast below it anymore. So here's where we're at. Netflix drops a bombshell. The Tyson fight is scrapped. And Jake Paul is chasing a fresh headline with another superstar. But what do you think? Was Tyson the fight that could have changed everything for Jake? Is McGregor a legit challenge or just another flashy detour? Is Jake chasing greatness or just gaming the system? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and hit subscribe so you don't miss a single twist in this wild ride through the fight world. Until next time, stay sharp, fight fans.